Salutations, Patreon friends. Thank everybody that made the transition over to this $15 tier monthly, so hopefully we can do some more communication here. I'm just going to kind of go over something this time that I haven't really scripted together very good. I'm just going to tell you how it went for me, and this is something that several people have asked me after interviews to actually do a video about. So fortunately it's being done. It's going to be here on Patreon where we can discuss it more than what's on YouTube. It's the Cloudbusters, all right, and kind of what the Cloudbuster actually was for me. Now, I no longer have one assembled. I took those apart in my younger years and got rid of that and quit messing with those. Excuse me. Now I will actually tell you why. All right. I had became an affinity in researching Wilhelm Reich's SAPA Bions and his SAPA Bions, the effect they had on cancer cells. All right, and all the things he was noticing about those, the vessels that they have, and that really intrigued me because due to some past life memories I have about some of the technology we had back then. All right, very similar. So anyway, dealing with Bions, SAPA Bions led me into find out more about his accumulator, Orgone Accumulator boxes, and also his Orgone Cloudbusters as well, all right? And after that, at that point, I broke off from that. I started researching Trevor James Constable, who also was doing a lot of weather engineering, etheric weather engineering, along with these Cloudbusters and some other things slightly different. And I found his work very interesting, so I tried to kind of working on that and building some of these Cloudbusters and taking it forward. Now, let me say something. All right, and this is what people have gotten, of course, irritated, but I don't care. I'm going to speak what I know of, all right, is that one thing they're doing right now is this Orgonite. All right, and I had somebody send me a piece of Orgonite from England a while ago, and it looks cool and everything. I think I've showed it on another video, but it doesn't really do anything for me. I don't feel any energy coming off of it. All right, now I'm not saying all Orgonite doesn't work, but it's not really the thing for me. And when dealing with a real, let's kick it at real, dealing with a real Orgone box, okay, accumulator box. What that simply is sheet metal, wood, sheet metal, wood, sheet metal, wood, layered all the way to the inner layer is the sheet metal, okay? It's a layer there, and what happens with inside of that box, that final layer, is the cashmere effect. That's what happens in the vacuum of space also. That is real 0-point energy. It's the cashmere effect. That's what makes this accumulator slightly different from some of the Orgonite cool looking things I've seen, all right? And why people can get in an Orgone accumulator and get healing and things like that from that type of free energy that's bouncing in between plates. The real cashmere effect is two plates that are in a vacuum start generating 0-point energy in between. That is also a type of Orgone. The good old Uranta book that has got through doing a video for YouTube on would call this automatons. ULTIMATONS. Automatons. That's what they call it. Anyway, so going back to that a little bit, now is these Cloudbusters. So building a real Cloudbuster is simple. It takes these tubes, copper tubes, all right, you've seen on the pictures already here. They're put into one of these Orgone boxes. I just attached to it, to one of the Orgone boxes that I just described, and then they're put on a tripod with some BX coils, tubing going down into basic grounded water in a bucket of water, grounded by water. It goes into a bucket of water. That's what these devices you're seeing being shown at the beginning and end of this video have. That's what I built. It was simple. I mean, it was really simple. It was not some advanced thing. Now, what I started doing after that is busting clouds with it. Now, I had found earlier through my spiritual practices that I could combust clouds, dissipate clouds with my eyes. Most people know of that. You can use a gazing technique going to and from and start pulling some of that Orgone energy into your biofield and dissipate clouds. Now, it's more intense with the Cloudbuster. And what I started doing was messing with cumulonimbus. When I see nimbus forms out there, clouds out there, I started trying to bust them, all right? That's when things got a little bit weird. I started sometimes feeling a little odd around these machines, a little queasy in the stomach, nauseated. I started wondering why. Well, I found out later that these dark nimbus clouds, it's not just melanin, they have a thing in them called DOR. which is deadly orgone radiation, is what Reich called it. Constable called it that too, and that starts accumulating in the Cloudbuster. Okay, and now I know people say, "Oh, it wouldn't happen if you just use Suge Knight." Look, that's not fact. All right, I'm just gonna say that Suge Knight is not a heal all things. All right, so you can't say that when you're dealing with these type of high energies that rock is just gonna make it all right. It might help, but I can't say it's gonna make it to where you don't accumulate any of that in these machines. Now, what I found out dealing with Constable is that on the infrared film and ultraviolet filters, I started using that. I started taking pictures around these Cloudbusters. And what I started finding is I started seeing two things. I started seeing these things that look like amoebas all around them, like I'm looking at a pond scum almost through a microscope. And another thing is I start seeing these things that look like some type of ships, like little Pleiadian ships or something like that, little saucers, but they're small. I used to see them, so when I was using the infrared film and the ultraviolet, sometimes I'd see them around power lines also. So this is something I find interesting. Now, Trevor Constable called them the Etherians, and said that they're cats in these ships. Basically, for you and I, they're using a quantum hologram, but they're attracted to this energy, this DOR that's sometimes emitted by these devices. So that's just something that I wanted to take note of. Now, as far as the biological organisms I saw around this thing, to me, they look like one-cell amoeba, microorganisms of some, well, one-celled organisms of some type. Now, Trevor Constable called them critters, all right? There's some type of bioplasmic creature that lives in our atmosphere the same way some of these microcellular, they live in pond scum also, excuse me. Kind of just using a correlation there, all right? Let's see. I think, that's actually getting down to a lot of that, actually. What my interest in Cloudbusters was why I stopped messing with them, why I disassembled those and don't really mess with them now. Now, when looking at some of Trevor Constable's etheric weathering engineering, he had a lot of other devices he made. Some of them I put on here. The bazooka, there's just several ones of them. And they're all interesting because he took that very far as getting on ships and trying to control some of the weather that was going into the deserts and dry spots. And he had some results from it. I'll even post a couple of those with this. So that's just one thing to kind of keep in mind with these Cloudbusters, all right? And as a youth, I've made other things like this. This is based on some of the principles right here. This is actually an Atlantean rod, is what this would be called. But guess what? It's got a copper tube here. That is a hollow copper tube that makes it actually an accelerator, a type of linear accelerator. You know what I'm saying? But that's the same thing that is being used with the Cloudbuster, except it's being grounded by a water source. And it's going through an orgone box, but then being grounded by a water source. So that's just something to just take note of, all right? Not saying I know it all by any stretch. I'm nobody's guru by any means. I'm not even a heavy scientist like that, but I am aware. And these are things that you can mess with also and learn about. Learn about these energies, learn about the healing effect that they had, especially when it comes to Bions, Sapa Bions, and how some of this is science of the future. I swear, I believe that definitely. I've seen some of this orgone energy running engines on UFOs. I've talked to you about that. I've talked about USOs. We've talked about the black boxes. All this is connected, all right? It's not the separate things it appears to be. So please check that out. Thank you for coming over here. Let me know if there's one of the videos of the 15 that are on here now that didn't get circumvented by the hackers. But anyway, any of them here that you guys might want to start discussing. Start put comments under there. I'll probably do a video about answering some of the questions, and we'll do a live feed or something, try to get in a group and do it different, something more than what YouTube provides. So let's do that. Thank you for coming here. Peace.